Episode 2 of our series starts a string of evolution episodes, so in some regards, we're already about to hit a little bit of filler. But these episodes are fine because even though they are vehicles to introduce us to the evolutions of the new creatures, at the same time, we are introduced to this world a little bit more and we learn just how weird it is and how alien everything is. And there are some other positives here as well, which I'm going to talk about in this review. So anyway, episode 2 picks up where episode 1 left off. The kids are falling off a cliff and they end up landing in the ocean. They're picked up by a school of fishes who begin escorting them to the nearest beach. Shortly after, we're treated to a scene of the humans and creatures discussing the whole evolution business. The Digimon don't understand everything, but they basically say that the evolution was made possible by the presence of their human partners. Of course, the kids don't fully grasp the symbiotic relationship here and begin wondering how they're going to get home. So they all debate over what would be the smart thing to do, but during all this they run into a series of phone booths that are positioned on the beach. They attempt to use the phones, but all they can get is nonsensical messages from them and are unable to make any calls, which just lends further credence to how alien and strange this world is. I like this scene for that purpose. Quick side note here, during these discussions there was a short bit that revealed that TK and Matt were brothers, something that was unknown to the other characters until this point. But since in episode 1 that was already revealed to us in the narration, we got some pointless and trite dialogue. Now, this is a pretty minor point, but it is worth noting that the revelation that Matt and TK were brothers was handled better in the sub, like many other things. Now, this next scene I actually really like. There are some stupid parts to it, but on a whole, this scene helps sum up one of my favorite things about this show. Now, I'm not going to discuss the specifics of the stupid dialogue from this scene, but basically it goes like this. The characters realize that they might be stuck there for a significant amount of time, so they start looking over the things that they have in their possession. TK has a bunch of candy, Mimi has a bag full of a bunch of stuff, Joe had some sort of emergency supply kit, bunch of stuff like that, and they begin wondering how long they'll be able to survive. And that's what I'm talking about. The first several episodes of this show, and really when you think about it, most of this show is not about defeating some sort of supervillain. It's about survival. As these kids are going around this strange world, there is a genuine fear of them running out of food and starving to death. There is a genuine fear of them not having a good place to sleep. There is a genuine fear of them getting sick and not being able to take care of themselves. It's all about survival, not about training their monsters to be super strong so they can beat the next boss. It's about living. We don't even have a villain yet. We will get one later, but for now, this is all about a group of kids trying to survive in a strange environment, which is much more relatable than trying to beat an evil supervillain. And I love that element of this show. After looking over everything, the kids reason out that they have enough food to survive for 3 days. And I also like the fact that they're putting numbers to this, instead of just giving generalizations about how they're almost out of food, or we're running out of food. They actually tell us 3 days we'll be able to survive. After that, we'll be foraging for food. Unfortunately, stupid dialogue does get in the way of this scene a little bit. For instance, there's a scene where Mimi is going through the stuff in her bag. In the sub, she knew what all of it was and was explaining it to the kids. But in the dub, she doesn't know what any of it is and is just pulling it all out. Among the items is a compass, which one of the kids notes could have helped them a little earlier, and Mimi says, "I thought it would be fun to see how far we could get without it." Oh boy. So anyway, with regards to the food rationing, they point out that they didn't include the Digimon, but they insist that they can forage for their own food, which pays off a little later. The episode then proceeds into another attack. This time a Shellmon comes onto the beach and starts attacking the group. They try to fight, but find themselves completely overmatched by the much larger and stronger Shellmon. What's more, the only Digimon capable of fighting effectively is Agumon, because he's the only one who ate any food after his last fight. This is the payoff I was talking about. But again, even he is overmatched. At one point, Tai becomes constricted by the Shellmon and his life is in danger. This prompts his partner, Agumon, to evolve yet again. This section of the episode really isn't all that interesting. It's not bad, but I don't have a ton to say about it. But it is worth noting this is the first time we see the kind of firepower that the kids have in their possession. This does make this episode kind of a seminal moment. I mean, before this, we saw their partners as largely harmless little floating heads, and then as these relatively small creatures. But this evolution of Agumon is huge and extremely powerful, at least as far as we can tell at this point, and we finally have a clue of where this whole thing is going. So it's actually kind of cool to see the kind of power that these kids are going to be controlling throughout the rest of this series for the first time, and I just wanted to comment on that because there's not a whole lot else to say about this final part. So anyway, Greymon beats back the evil Shellmon, and the kids basically decide they're going to go on an exploring adventure. On a whole, I think this is a pretty strong episode. We're introduced to some themes here that I really enjoyed, and there's enough interesting going on to make the episode more than just a vehicle to show an evolution. Most of the problems I have are recurring problems that appear in pretty much every episode, and if you're not willing to live with those flaws, you're not going to be able to live with the series. So this is probably one of the stronger episodes we'll be looking at. This is more or less the case for the first 7 or so episodes of the first season, so I'll have similar things to say, albeit to lesser and greater degrees, for the next 5 episodes now. At which point we get to the arc of the first section of the first season, but I'm getting ahead of myself now. We'll get there when we get there. Thank you.